and I've been doing drywall for as long as I can remember. My dad owned the Ramirez drywall, so ever since 6th grade year, I was doing all my summers were there, and I developed a lot of skills. I would consider myself a pretty master of my craft, and I come across a lot of situations where I have to fix drywall, and I was just gonna try to give you a little bit of expertise on how to do a simple patch, and hopefully you'll be able to do this at home afterwards, and you wouldn't have to call me and I'll have to charge you the big bucks. So we're getting into my presentation is how to repair drywall. So first things first is we're gonna identify the repair. In some instances, you know, they move light switches, they'll move light fixtures on the ceiling, light fixtures in the plugs, and you'll see a lot in construction, and it's just preference wise, to be honest. So we're gonna inspect for the best solution, and also I put in this instance they moved this light switch below us. So in the second step, you can see I use the backer for this condition, but if there was a stud in this repair, that would be a way better situation to screw it into the stud. But we use the 1x2, and then also the backers depend on the size of the repair. So if it's a big patch, we can use a 2x4 and so forth. So the third step is to actually measure the sheetrock that we're going to cut to use to replace the repair. And then also I like to put in my screws here, like kind of like where it's secured. And in this instance, it's a little overkill, but you can never be. It's better to be safe than sorry. This is an optional step. I like to do this because the next steps become easier. The little fuzzies do get in the way of floating it, and it'll cause you problems whenever you're getting ready to sand and so forth. And then you also gotta be careful not to cut yourself, because you do gotta cut at a certain angle. And then I don't know if y'all be able to see this, but yeah, it's an angle, and this also helps out with the mud getting in between the drywall, making it more reinforced. So the fourth step, these are also tools that I'll use on the daily, but the first coat is a heavy compound float. It's what would you consider our heavier coat, and also we remove these sides of the drywall out of the mud with the taping tool, kind of like using it at an angle as well. So the fifth step is after the first coat dries, we'll use a second coat. This is kind of more like a skim to fix the imperfections that are in the first coat, and it makes it, I always like to say the saying, when in doubt, skim. So the sixth step is sand and prep for texture. And texture can get really dirty. You get overspray, so you want to cover anything like the door, the light fixture, anything that will get dirty, especially the floor. And then finally, the last step. So we're going to spray the texture. In this instance, I use a compressor and a hopper, but I know if you're going to be doing this at home, you can get a can texture from Home Depot, Lowe's, or any hardware store. Make sure to feather it. You don't want all the texture to be in one spot, and feather it around and keep moving it. And now I hope y'all can fix drywall at home and don't have to call me.